Welcome to the Divine Lifestyles Podcast. I am your host, Tara Markowski, and today I am joined by the beautiful Lisa Thomas. Lisa is a sought-after epigenetics expert. Lisa is a sought-after epigenetics expert, speaker, author, and transformational leader who contributes to society by facilitating accelerated healing. Her work is absolutely amazing, by the way. And she has helped thousands of people worldwide achieve their business and life goals by releasing inherited emotional DNA, such as fear of success, fear of failure, anxiety, procrastination, fear of public speaking. Limiting money beliefs is also one of her really great expertise topics. Relationship drama and business stagnation. Lisa has been featured on Good Morning La La Land, Allie and You, Dare to Dream, Inspired Conversations, Spirit, Purpose, Energy, as well as a ton of other amazing podcasts and stages. And her book, Mistakes into Money, is available right now on Amazon. So grab yourself a copy. And thank you so much, Lisa, for being here with me today.
It is such an honor. I adore you, and I feel really grateful to be here with you.
Oh, I love that. So let's get right into it. You know, I am just fascinated by this word I can't even say, epigenetics. And it's just been in my consciousness lately, and your work is just so unbelievable. How did you get into this line of work?
It happened by chance. Really, it did. If I had known where I was going to be now, I don't know. I would have never been able to do it. I had a near-death experience at a point in my life that really took me into the space of what feels good. What do I want to do on a daily basis? And I think sometimes we don't have to have a near-death experience, but when they happen, there's always a lesson from it. There's always something to glean, even if it's just that you chose life, like it was for me. I chose life. I didn't have to choose that. And so if I decided to choose life, that also meant there was another reason why it wasn't my time. And that's what I anchored on, is what if I didn't die, then what else is for me? And there was no vision during that near-death experience around who I was going to become. It was strictly that I had a choice. So I think that's a big step in for all of us, is what do we choose on a daily basis that feels good, that's in alignment with who we are, and it's a process. What do you think?
Yeah, you know, that's so interesting. I'd love to actually dive. I mean, what I think is I had an awakening, I would say my spiritual awakening in 2008. It wasn't a near-death experience, but it was my mother's death that was a catalyst for, you know, most of the transformation and growth in my life up to date. And it was one of those, you know, catalyst moments that you have where you start questioning everything. Mm-hmm. And I had my come to Jesus moment, and I was like, what am I doing here? Who am I? Yeah. Why am I even here? So all of those questions I started to ask myself during that time, and it led me to the work that I'm doing now as well. Mm-hmm. But I would love to hear a little bit more about some of the details about the near-death experience, if you wouldn't mind sharing.
I don't mind at all. And I love that you brought up your mom, because my mom plays an important part in this as well. My mother died when I was 33. I just had my last child. She was my best friend. I have a great partner, all right? It's not that I don't love my husband, but there was just this relationship that I had with my mom that mom always knew best. She always believed in me. I was innately insecure, and my mom was my life. And when she did, I literally didn't know who I was. It's like, oh, wow, I don't even know where to go from here. Yes, I was a mom, but that led into a lot of deep depression. I had already been experiencing depression. I was uneducated when it comes to mental health and postpartum depression. And with each child, it got worse. But I wasn't educated in it. I didn't know what I was experiencing. I thought I was crazy. I thought it was, some fault of mine that this was happening. And then it got worse after my mom died. So here we are now to near-death experience. Because I did used to pray. when it got really bad that someone else could raise my children. I had 3 little towheads with big brown eyes, and my husband's adorable. And I knew that he would have no problem finding someone that would love my children as much as I did. And so it was really for them. I did not have, I think I was too sick, right, to even think about taking my life. But if God wanted to take my life, I was okay. And what what I want to share is that if there had been a special magic potion, that all I had to do was get off my sofa, walk across to the other end of the room, and pick it up in front of this big bay window that I would lay looking through, I did not have the life force energy to do it. That's how absolutely depleted I was. We went to Cabo. You with me? You with
you,
that
and I
feeling?
am like so aligned with how you felt during that time, being so
Yeah.
depressed after losing your mother.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought it up, because it's a feeling that when you have that deep connection with a parent, it can be a father figure because we can bond with that. But for us, you and I, it's our mother. It
Yeah.
really left us going, what am I doing? Because part of my existence was taking care of my mother. We had fun together, right? I would travel. She lived in Carson City, Nevada. That's where I went to high school. And I loved taking my kids and going up there, going shopping. She was a big realtor. We'd buy gifts for all of our clients. Like, we just had so many things in common. Well, all of that's gone. I'm not calling her 3 times a day. I'm not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We went to Cabo, my husband and I, for my birthday. And we signed up to do some ATV rides, where we each had our 4-wheeler ATV to go out on the sand dunes. And the night before, my mother comes to me in a dream, and she's wearing this really ugly, bright red lipstick. I mean, it is ugly. It is like just awful. And I said to her, Mom, why are you wearing this really ugly lipstick? She just literally chuckled and laughed. She goes, because you're never going to forget me. And she said, I want you to remember that I'm here. I can do more for you on this side of the veil than I could in person. And I am with you. Well, right? Who doesn't want to hear that from their deceased loved ones? I felt so blessed. But it didn't land on me how it was meant at the time, that particular message. I think it had multiple messages. I took it as, be at peace, move on, I'm here. That's how I took it. And I do believe it meant that. And it's helped me a lot with my clients to understand really what the role is of ancestors. And I've learned a lot through this process, as I'm sure you have, right? So we get up the next morning, and I loved sharing my experience with my husband, and then it was out of my mind. It was just something I had clocked, and we were off riding ATVs on the other side of Cabo on those big sand dunes where you go watch the whales, and they're white, and it's beautiful. And we had a ton of fun riding, chasing each other and whatever. And it came to the end of the day, and we arrived back at meeting point a little bit early. And I said to him, I'll race you to the top of that hill. Well, I was gone before I even finished my sentence, because I have this spirit of competition in me when it comes to playing games or who's going to win. And I was going to win. But the problem is, Tara, I never looked at that hill. I never looked at that sand dune. I was just going to go to the top. Right. And if I had paused to look, I would have noticed that it's not when you come down, and it's certainly not when you go up. It's when you leave alone. If you came down it, you were going to roll forward. And I went up it. And so I didn't even get halfway up. And my ATV came right back and planted me. Pushed the handlebar, broke my jaw, put it all the way up through my mouth, through my jaw. They carried me out on a wooden board. They had to airlift me out and told me I was paralyzed. And I remember my mom. I'm like, I need you now. But when that happened is when the near-death experience happened. And as I went out, I knew, it's like this consciousness as I'm aware of everything happening in slow motion, it's like you receive a like this divine knowledge from me. No present showed up. Christ didn't show up before me. My guardian angel didn't. It
Mm.
wasn't that, but I was in that heaven space. And it was like, I hear, you have a choice. What do you want to do? Well, see, I had been begging to go.
Mm.
And the prayer was being answered. And I said, I want life. And I'm put back into my body in this excruciating pain that really didn't leave for 6 weeks. I wasn't paralyzed. I did ask my mom when I woke up to help me. And I believe she was always going to help me. And I believe I was never supposed to pass away at that time, because when we have our time, that it's our time, right? And it wasn't my time. So as I'm laying in pain, a little bit of background, because I'd been depressed, Tara, I had been addicted to 7-Eleven super big gulps of Diet Coke. And I had tried many, many times to quit it, but I just got worse. And see, I needed that. I needed the whole boost just to be able to function, to be able to go get my kids, to be able to sit them down at the table to do homework, right? I needed enough life force, fake, whatever. I mean, it was definitely fake and artificial, but I didn't have any means to do it. I didn't have any other way to garner that. I didn't have support or help to know that I needed help at the time. So I just decided, I said, God, I lived. I'm going to go off Diet Coke. I'm never going to drink it again. I have never drank it again. And I said, and it's not caffeine. It's the whole process of what it is. It's the toxicity. It's how it impacts our brain, our neurotransmitters. It's not just caffeine. It's everything that went with it. So I have 100% never touched it again, the Diet Coke. And what I said was, I have a massive headache anyway. I'm not going to know the difference. But it's the first thing I can commit to do for me. And then to you, I promise you, I will say yes to everything you bring my way that's going to help me change. And I did. Just like you did. I know you did, or you wouldn't be have gone through this spiritual transformation if you hadn't.
Yeah. Wow, you have just cracked my heart open today. I'm so happy that we were able to connect again today to speak, because I really feel, and I'm emotional, I really feel like there's really something special about today's interview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I am going to honor that.
But we both will. Yeah.
And I'd love to know a little bit about how you learned about, inherited emotional DNA. What is it exactly?
When I was a little girl, I saw spirits. And this is important to the whole theme. And Tara, I was frightened. I didn't have anybody else in my family that really understood. And see, that's when my mom became my best friend, is she never judged me. She would just say, we're not going to talk about that. Don't talk about that in front of your friends. Don't tell people that, right? And it was to keep me safe. And I had, my guardian angels, which I didn't know were guardian angels. It's not like the gift came with all knowingness as to what was happening. God, wouldn't that be nice? But they were my imaginary friends, but were actually real in my life. As I got older, it's not that I forgot this. It's not that I didn't know I was intuitive. It's that I didn't access, I squashed that. And so I was always trying to be somebody else to fit in. Always. Not even realizing that I was doing it. I just always was, that's what I was doing, to be included in a group, to be included in the party, so to speak. And when I started, after my near-death experience, and I started getting involved in health and things that felt good, and I started just doing things that I was guided to, books I was guided to. And when I got the toxicity out, right, and I didn't have my mom to protect me, then that means, right, I was moving through a ton of uncomfortability because everything was hard in my life. Me saying yes to something was hard because I didn't have her to run by if it was a good idea or not,
Yeah.
right? Um, so
I
as
understand that a
you
lot.
do, good. Yeah. There's nobody to give that checkpoint to. Like, yeah. And honestly, I wouldn't be doing what I do if she had been alive.
Mm,
No judgment on that. But I did not become who I was until my mom died.
same with me. Oh.
Yeah. And would I rather have her here? Of course I would. Just like you would.
Yeah.
But I wanted her here being who I am now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I totally understand what you're saying because it was in those darkest moments and the stretching and the growth and the transformation that we're here sitting together today.
Yeah.
Whereas I probably would have just taken a different path.
Absolutely. Yep. I would have become a real estate agent like my mom. So I could spend time really innately when I look back at it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I would have done something different.
me too.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have had the impact that we're going to have and we do
That's
have
right.
on humanity.
That's right. And it feeds us so much. It feeds us so much, doesn't it? To be able to live in this space of joy and happiness and purpose. That's what gets us up every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There's two things I wanted to chat about, and then let's get back to I want to talk a little bit more about the inherited emotional DNA.
Yeah.
But
And I can do
one
that.
question that I feel like's coming through is soul contracts.
Yeah.
Soul contracts, how do you feel about this? For example, they say that you and I have both chosen, this soul contract with our parents. I've lost both of mine now.
Okay.
And that this was something that my soul needed. It's like my soul's code and my soul's process needed to become complete.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that my mother's death needed to happen the way it did, in order for me to fulfill the soul's process. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I think there's truth in it, and I think there are some other ways to look at it. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we do pick our parents. I'm positive of it. But it's for multiple reasons. It can be that your best spirit friend is 3 generations, 4 generations back, and you weren't going to be in the same dimension, but you made a contract with each other that you would look out for each other while each other was on earth. It can be
Mm-hmm.
something that there's a lot of reasons. It can be that the same with a parent. It could be that you were friends, right? But oftentimes it's because you want the gifts and the talents, and you already gel together as people in this. The generations are massive, right? In this support. It doesn't mean we always get great parents when we do this. It's because there's other people in the bloodline that are, and it doesn't mean that they come down here the same way they were as we knew them.
Mm-hmm.
But we do, Tara, decide what soul lessons we need to learn. And so it's not your soul lesson. I mean, let me see if I can split this. It was your mother's process of dying that she needed. You, in turn, agreed to that and said, I can do that and I'll benefit from it too. She did not die the way she did to benefit you particularly. This is where, right? Doesn't that
Yeah.
land as truth? Yeah. And I think we can have soul contracts with people in our life as well. And it doesn't mean that they are a soulmate in a relationship. It just means that people come into our life and people exit, or they stay. And right. And with our parents, I've had many clients whose parents weren't great. And they have a hard time with this soul contract thing. Like, why would I choose this? I would never choose this again. In some ways, and I don't mean it to sound trifle, but we have to disconnect from it and just know that there's always wisdom that can be gained from our trials.
Yeah.
And that nothing is perfect. because we didn't come here. We came here to have choice, really free agency, and to learn and to really evolve. And each of us has our own process of what that means for us.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautifully said. So let's dive into inherited emotional DNA.
Okay. We have our fixed helix, which is our DNA code. That is what gives us our height and our eye color, even our expressions. And we can't change that. But within our DNA helix, we have our epigenetics. And that is where it's how our DNA gets turned on, how we express. Right. And we, like I said, we inherit our gifts and our talents from our ancestors. But we also inherit their generation, what they experienced in their lifetime. So it can be generational trauma. Trauma is a big word. Okay.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that they had like this, it doesn't mean that their life was abused. It could be. But I think trauma gets kind of like overused in a very general way. I like to think of just as our life has trauma in it in the everyday experiences. It can start in grade school where you don't get picked to be on the volleyball team, right? It can become in high school where you don't get invited to the senior party that everybody's going to. Those are what I call little T traumas, right? But they're just experiences that get trapped in our lifetime while our ancestors had the same thing. They could have lived through, well, they did live through the Great Depression. How did it land for them? What got passed down in the cellular memory? So it's those experiences that get passed down as well as their belief system.
Yeah.
Even, and then what we hear around at the table, like bad people are wealthy people or evil people have money, or right, good people get corrupted with money. So it is a mindset that gets handed down, and it's all on a subconscious level. It is only if we have heard generational stories, or we've gone in and done ancestral, whatever, genealogy, that we might see a story or something in those records. Otherwise, we really just have to pay attention to our own patterns and become aware of them.
So is that how we can figure out how it shows up in our own life? We
That's
look
the
at a
very first
pattern.
way. What's the pattern? For business owners, you keep hitting a certain income level, or maybe you have a great year and then you drop back, and then you struggle at the other level. Well, that can be an upper limiting belief around what you deserve around money. It could
Yeah.
be an inherited belief that you're not worthy. And so something that's really big in our DNA is we were born on the other side of the tracks. And that it's just give it 2 generations ago. We were born on, right? And it's literally like in Los Angeles, there's no one side, east side, west side. It's pocket neighborhoods. So like my generation isn't going to pick that up unless it was handed down to them in the cellular memory. And what happens as a business owner is we bump up against that and not even know that that's in there.
Wow. So how can you transform a person's success by by the trajectory of understanding epigenetics?
Well, first you can learn how to release it from yourself, and you can hire somebody to help you. I mean, that's what I do, right? Because the subconscious wants to protect us. But if the subconscious is our protector, then it also blocks us from expanding because it doesn't want us to get hurt. It doesn't want us to feel humiliated. It doesn't want us to be too visible, because if there's belief we're not safe being visible, then you will sabotage that and you won't get it done. You won't get online. You won't do what you need to do. You won't public speak. So it's about being aware and being in the transformational space. It's also about educating yourself and really bringing in somebody that can help you. Because often what happens, and this, is because I would say conscious people believe they can do it themselves, then we take so much on that because we can, we should. And it doesn't have to be hard. It can really not be hard. We can give ourselves permission to have ease and change.
Yes. Amen to that.
Right.
That is my new mantra. It will come to me with ease.
Yes.
So, Lisa, tell the audience a little bit about what a session with you looks like. Because I know you do so many amazing things, and I'm super excited because I just signed up for your masterclass.
I'm so happy
Um,
you did.
but I know there's lots of different ways that people can work with you. They can book you for speaking. But if I was to book you one-on-one, what does a session with you look like?
It would look like you first fill out a quick form. It's the only time you have a form to fill out. It takes you about 10 minutes max, probably 5. And I just ask you a few clarifying questions so I can be 100% ready for that first session. That's an hour long, and I don't waste time, so to speak, asking you clarifying questions because my brain works in unique ways. I like to ask those questions ahead of time instead of asking them in. It helps me connect my dots, is what it does in a session.
Mhm.
And it would be me asking you questions to the subconscious. So I formulate sentences, questions like what needs to be released or what's blocking you from dot, 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 depending on what you're looking for. And I tell people, be thinking about either what you want to stop doing, if there's a pattern you have that you don't like you drink, you eat. Every time you start to release weight, you start eating more sugar and cakes and start baking, right? Or every time you start making money, bad things start happening, or you have tons of anxiety. Like those can be things like that. What do you want to let go of? And then I also love to ask, what do you want more of? Because often as people, right, on planet Earth, we feel like, oh, this is good. We can't be asking for more joy. We can't be asking for more happiness because the other shoe's going to drop and it's going to stop. Or I can't have more money because I'm already busy enough. So if I get busier, then I'm going to have less time. Those are just stories that that stop us. And so I love getting rid of those things.
So, I have a few questions about this. So, for example, would you consider like hypnotherapy part of it?
Mm,
It's
I
energy
am
work.
trained in hypnosis. I am. I it's all of it. I do a bit of awakened hypnosis, I like to call it, in my audios.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not take people into hypnosis. I have a special way to connect and access the subconscious, getting their permission live with them.
Mm-hmm.
These are phone sessions that get recorded for them. I think that hypnosis is good for audio. But I think I like people to be in this awareness. They don't have to go back to trauma to get rid of it. They don't have to go back to the originating spot that it formed in order to release it. Meaning they don't have to experience. I'm able to ask the body, is it in? So I will scan. I have a list of like 300 words, and through a form of muscle testing that I trademarked, I I'm able to get priority mode for that. I don't want the fluff of the subconscious. So I'm going to get the word, right? It can be shame. It's the lowest word. It's often
Lowest
inherited. It's almost
vibration.
always inherited first. And I can tell you then if it's inherited on the mother or the father's side. Let's say hypothetically it's inherited on both. The body will give me what the priority is. And I do not ever second guess my answers. So many times it's proven to me over and over again in the process of the truth of what the body will give me. Just even if I were to go, ooh, that's an interesting word, right? It always comes forth. And then I can also say how many generations it goes back. And the reason I want to do that is because when I very first started my work, and I didn't know anything about epigenetics, but this is where my gift of seeing came about, where it came to fruition, where I understood why I had this gift, is because in one of the very first sessions I did, I was working with a man who did not believe in any afterlife. And he believed that we just return to dust. Well, in a sense, we do in the physical level, but our soul does not evaporate into nothingness. But his father came to me in this very first session, and he told me to ask his son to forgive him. So I was really in this situation of, okay, this is interesting, right? And I did end up telling him his father was there. But what I learned from that experience was that, and then his father kept telling me thank you, that he felt so much better. And I had these repeated things come where they didn't necessarily say anything to me, but they were there to watch the process. And then they would like smile, give me gratitude, right? And I knew it was helping them. So I got educated, I got mentored along the way about what was happening. And then I had experiences with clients where I'd release, like, I'm going to use addiction as the example, from the mother, and it was clearing from their adult child automatically because it was an inherited thing. And then the mother would go, you didn't even know this, but she's so addicted to alcohol. And she quit drinking for, during that time period. So the impact, that's how I learned about it, is through experience. Then as time went on and I started speaking more, I have really wanted to take the woo-woo out of it. I am all about evolving humanity. I'm about impact, and I'm about it's a gift from above, from God, from universe, from source, so that we can really let go of things that we don't have to own. And we really don't have to own this. And there's no judgment. We can't blame these people, just like we wouldn't want our children blaming us for patterns. We don't do it on purpose, nor did they.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so interested in learning more about your work, and that's why I'm so excited to join the masterclass. I have, there's lots of different facilitators and healers out there, and what I like the most about this is that you don't have to like almost go back in to the situation to release it. Because I know that a lot of people like would shy away from that, right? I always say you got to feel to heal. But this is very intriguing to me that you actually don't have to go back into that trauma to fully release it.
You don't. You'll feel, if you're a sensor, a person of empathic, gifts, which you are, you might feel emotional, but it's more of a joy. Like, oh my gosh, this is releasing from me. There's no trauma around, oh my gosh, I'm reliving this. You don't have to go back in there and do journaling and relive it and all that stuff. And I think that's really important. It's not that shadow work and that type of stuff doesn't have its place. If someone's really in wanting to make transformation and they live in that space anyway, one, they don't have time to go do all that.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of emotional challenge. And so those are really the people that work with me, are those people that are like, look, I'm here and I want to be here. I feel this and I want to feel more. And that's what this can do. It can help anybody. It really can. And so I have things to help anybody at wherever stage they're in.
So tell us a little bit more about what's next for you, what you have, because I know you have a training, you have the masterclass. What's up next?
Well, I love speaking, and I'm going to Nepal to speak in Nepal in December. So I'm excited about that. And I'm just in my zone and I'm having fun. And I really think that we can't, as business owners, do it perfectly the first time. We don't have to, and we can evolve and we can change. And that's what my masterclass is about. I've been teaching the content, but I'm evolving it too.
Yeah.
And I think it's fun when we can change things up and deliver in a new way. And that's kind of the space I'm in, is create and evolve as I go.
And if anyone who is listening is interested in getting, trained in your process, where's the best place for people to find you online?
You know what? How about I send you the link for the masterclass? Okay. And they can read about it, because it'll be to my website. You can go to lisathomasenergyhealing.com. It'll be on there.
Amazing. Oh. And my last and final question, what is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
Yeah. That there's wisdom in mistakes.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh, I love that. I love that because we can really, really beat ourselves up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So true.
And it is in those moments that we actually are learning the most.
Yeah.
But boy, does our ego want to beat ourselves up.
I know it. Well, I want to teach people how to make friends with their ego so you can get on the same track.
I'm
Yeah,
just so thankful for the work that you're bringing into the world.
thank you.
I am so excited to join the master class and just to be studying under you a bit more.
Me too.
So just thank you so much for being here.
I adore you. Thank you.